Hello guys, welcome to this another exciting episode. Today we'll be talking about symmetric and asymmetric key encryption. How do I securely share information between 2 points in a connection? So that's what we'll be looking about. So we'll talk about two kinds of encryption, and we'll start with the first one, the symmetric key encryption. So assuming I want to share information from one point of a network to another person. So let's see how this is done. So if I want to share information from a person A to another person B in a network, and I don't want any other person in this network to be able to sniff this information and understand what I'm sending over this network. So if this person A, will call the person A the sender, and we'll call person B, we'll call it the recipient. So if I want to share information between the sender and the recipient, we're using symmetric key encryption. Using symmetric key encryption, the first thing I'm supposed to do is to encrypt this data, as the name, encrypt this data. So I will encrypt the data using an encryption function. So this is our encryption function. We'll call it encryption algorithm. So I will encrypt the data using this encryption function, and this encryption function requires me to use a key. So this key is called the secret key, or the secret key, which is shared. So it's a secret key, and this secret key is a shared key between the sender and the recipient. So the sender and the recipient share this secret key, and that's why it's known as the shared key encryption. Symmetric key encryption is also known as the shared key encryption because the sender and the recipient share this key. So now if person A using the secret key uses the secret key to encrypt this data, this person A can be able to send this information over this communication channel. So this connection, now whatever is transferred in this connection is encrypted, and this information is known as the encrypted text or the ciphertext. So encrypted or the ciphertext. This encrypted or ciphertext is then transmitted to the recipient. Now the recipient will receive this ciphertext and also pass it through a decryption algorithm. So the decryption algorithm we take this text, we put in the secret key, and remember the secret key is shared between the sender and the recipient, so they have the same key, the sender and the recipient. So now this information, the ciphertext, will be decrypted. Decryption is like the opposite of encryption, so whatever was encrypted here will be decrypted to have the actual information which is readable by recipient B. So recipient B now we take this information and we be able to understand. So if there is any person at this point of the connection, in between the connection, that person will be unable to understand whatever information is passing through the connection. So if the person is able to sniff into the connection, he will receive the ciphertext, but he will be unable to interpret this text to make sense. So that's what is known as the symmetric key encryption. Now, how do person A and person B share this secret key? Normally, the secret key is shared using a different connection. So you can use the same connection where you share information to share the secret key. So you can actually make a phone call. Person A can call person B and say, okay, my secret key will be A, B, C. and your algorithm should be able to use ABC to decrypt whatever text I'm sending. So if I send a text, I will encrypt it using ABC, and I will pass it through the connection, and when you receive this information, you will now decrypt the information using the same key ABC, and you'll be able to understand whatever I'm sending to you. So that is symmetric key encryption. So now let's look at asymmetric key encryption. Asymmetric key encryption tries to solve the problem of sharing a secret key, because if a secret key is being shared and if anybody have access to that secret key, that person will be able to interpret or to decrypt the information shared in the connection. So if this is person A, if this is our person A, which is the sender, wants to send information to the recipient over this our network using asymmetric key encryption, the person A the person B, we have to share its public key to person A. So the first thing we learn about asymmetric encryption is that it uses two keys, which is the public key and the private key. The public and the private key. Now, the public key is shared to anybody who wishes to communicate with person B, the recipient. So if anybody wants to communicate with the recipient, that person should be able to have the recipient public key. So the recipient will generate these two keys and we send it to the sender, and the sender will be able to communicate with the recipient. So the sender will have the public key. The sender will use this public key to encrypt the data. So the sender will pass the public key in the encryption algorithm. He will pass here the public key. So that's why the public key at times is known as the encrypted key, because it's the key used in encrypting this information. So the sender passes this public key in this encryption algorithm and uses it to encrypt the data, and when this data is encrypted, it is then passed over to our connection. And if we come to person B, and person B, we use the private key, which is not shared. Only person B has the private key. No other person in this connection have a copy of the private key. So the person B will use the private key to decrypt this information. So you pass the private key in the decryption algorithm. Now, whatever information is encrypted with person B public key, that information can only be decrypted using person B private key. And the fact that nobody in this connection has person B's private key, and person B private key is not shared with any other person in any way whatever, it means that person B can freely share its public key with many people over this connection, and whatever information they send to him, he only will be the one to understand this information. So if there's a sender C and there's a sender D and the sender E, each of them will pass their information through the encryption algorithm using the public key of person B. So they will use person B's public key, and this information will be encrypted, and only person B with his private key will be able to decrypt this information and understand it. But with symmetric algorithm, whoever has the shared key will be able to encrypt and also decrypt information between this communication. So if I have the shared key in symmetric algorithm, I will be able to to decrypt whatever communication between A and B because they share the same key. But in asymmetric encryption, the person B shares the public key to everybody in the connection, and whosoever wishes to communicate with B must have this public key and must encrypt this information with this public key such that person B, who has the private key and him alone with the private key and is not shared with anybody in this connection, however, whatever, this person B will be able to decrypt this information and understand it. So that is asymmetric encryption. So I wish you understand this video, and I hope you understand it. And if you have any question or comment, please you can leave it at the comment section below in this video. And please don't forget to subscribe if you find this information useful. You can also take time to go through my other courses which I'm uploading. I'm also doing a series on databases, and I'm doing some random series on programming with C, with Java, and many programming language like PHP and JavaScript. So I hope you like my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye. Love you all.